Okay? Now, what is the proposed law that Obama was on board, the Republican House was on board, and the Democratic Senate defeated it 51-49. So it came that close. This vote was in 2013. Had that law passed, instead of the grandchild being able to stretch it out over 50 years, the grandchild would have to pay income tax on the whole thing within 5 years. That is the death of the stretch IRA. All right, now, are we sure that this is going to happen? I thought it was going to happen relatively soon. I don't think anything's going to happen before the election. After the election, I'm not sure the timing. Maybe it's going to be put off for a little bit. But let's say that you were a greedy president or a greedy congressman. What do you want? You want money, right? That's what the government wants. There's $7 trillion in the IRA and retirement plan system that at the moment they can't get. Even if you die, they can't get it quickly if you plan it right. You really think they're going to let us stretch it for 50 years when we already have legislation and we already know exactly how it's going to work? And that they can get a whole bunch of money real fast to the detriment of your family, and guess what they're giving up? They're giving up future income when they're not in office anymore. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I think you have to believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. And we call that the death of the stretch IRA. All right?
Does that apply to the sons?
Yes. That will not apply to the spouse. That'll apply to a non-spousal beneficiary. Now, let's say you draft everything correctly now. Can you grandfather yourself? Well, there is one way to grandfather the death of the stretch IRA. You can die. If you die with an IRA, then you grandfather yourself.
I'll start adding that to the living wills immediately.
By the way, interestingly enough, we're actually using that strategy. Not premature death. But let's say that John dies, but let's say instead of having a $1 million IRA, let's say he has a $3 million IRA, all right? And I say, Mrs. Shank, John unfortunately has died with a $3 million IRA, and he died using today's law where we can stretch the heck out of that. Now, if you like, we can transfer the whole $3 million to you, but there's a very good chance that between now and the time that you die, the law is going to change, and your kids are going to have to pay income tax on the whole $3 million plus the growth. Or, since you're not a great spender anyway, you know, she's spending $5,000, $6,000 a month, and she has $3 million plus Social Security and other stuff. Since you're not a great spender anyway, why don't you just keep $2 million, which is probably $1 million more than she needs? Why don't you keep $2 million and you disclaim $1 million now? And since there's so much opportunity now under today's law that will likely not be around later, why don't you disclaim a certain portion of it to your grandkids? So we are taking into effect right now the possibility or the likelihood of this law changing in our planning right now.